What's up, Cowboys Nation? Welcome back to Cowboys News TV, where we bring you the latest updates and hottest news about our Dallas Cowboys. I'm Dave, and today we've got a spicy topic for discussion, one that's been blowing up on social media the past couple of days. There's been some serious buzz about a potential trade involving Jaguars running back Travis Etienne. Could the Cowboys be looking to make a move for the dynamic running back? Stick around because we're diving deep into this possibility and what it could mean for Dallas moving forward. Before we get into the nitty-gritty, though, let's pause for a quick reminder. If you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to our channel and enable that notification bell. Your subscription is crucial to us, and we're aiming to reach our next goal of 12,000 subscribers. Cowboys Nation, help us get there by hitting that subscribe button right now. You don't want to miss any updates as we head into the heat of the NFL season. Alright, let's jump into it. So, where did all this Etienne trade chatter come from? It started with Katie Drummond from Cowboys Wire, who listed Travis Etienne as a potential trade target for the Cowboys. This caught some attention, but things really gained traction when ESPN's Jeremy Fowler named Etienne as one of 5 players the Jaguars might consider trading if they decide to hit the reset button this season. Now, let's break down this trade idea. Fowler's report mentioned that Jacksonville could sell off assets like Christian Kirk, Devin Lloyd, and others, with Etienne being a name that stands out for Cowboys fans. But the big question is, what would it cost Dallas to bring him in? One proposal mentioned a second-round draft pick for Etienne. On one hand, Cowboys fans know we've had some challenges in the second round of the draft, so why not trade it, right? But seriously, would a second-rounder be too steep of a price for Etienne? Running backs in today's NFL don't typically fetch that high of a price in trades. The Christian McCaffrey deal was an outlier, and Etienne, while talented, is not on McCaffrey's level. So, let's toss this question out to Cowboys Nation. What would you give up to bring Travis Etienne to Dallas? Would you part with a second-round pick, or do you think a lower-round selection is more appropriate? Hit up the comments section and share your thoughts. We've also got a poll running. Vote and let us know what draft pick you'd be willing to trade for Etienne. Now, let's talk about Etienne the player. Travis Etienne had back-to-back 1,000-yard rushing seasons in 2022 and 2023, but there have been some injury concerns. He dealt with foot issues early in his career, which could raise some long-term red flags. However, he's been solid this season for Jacksonville, rushing for 214 yards over the first 4 games. Not jaw-dropping numbers, but he's been the Jaguars' most consistent playmaker on the ground, despite Tank Bigsby having some highlight reel runs that skew the stats. Advanced stats tell an even better story about Etienne. He ranks 15th in the NFL in rush yards over expected per attempt, a metric that factors in big plays and broken tackles. His 4.6 yards per carry and 4.3 yards after contact show that he's a playmaker who can make defenders miss. And here's a big stat. Etienne has 8 explosive plays on the ground this season, which is double the combined explosive plays of the Cowboys' entire running back core. That's right, he's got more big plays than all of our backs combined. So here's another question for you, Cowboys fans. Would adding a dynamic playmaker like Etienne give our offense the juice it needs? Drop your answers in the comments, and don't forget to vote in our poll. Should the Cowboys pull the trigger on an Etienne trade? Let's not forget, though, that bringing in Etienne would require the Jaguars to be willing to sell. If Jacksonville decides to hit the reset button on their season, that's when this conversation really becomes interesting. But as of now, this is all speculative. What would it take to get the Jaguars to move Etienne? And are the Cowboys willing to make that deal? Financially speaking, Etienne is quite affordable. He's making $2.4 million this year, and we're already halfway through the season, so Dallas would only be on the hook for about $1.3 million. In 2025, he's set to make $6.14 million under his 5th-year option, which is still a bargain compared to what many top-tier running backs are getting paid. This makes Etienne an appealing long-term option, especially when you consider his age and upside. Now, here's where things get a bit more complicated. The Cowboys have said they're happy with their current running back situation. Remember, they started the season with Ezekiel Elliott as RB1, Deuce Vaughn as RB2, and Hunter Luepke playing fullback. But the running back rotation has been fluid. Deuce Vaughn has been taking most of the snaps, Luepke's role has increased, and Elliott's workload has been reduced each week. So, would the Cowboys be willing to shake things up and bring in Etienne? Or do they believe their current stable of backs is enough to get the job done? Cowboys Nation, I'm turning it over to you again. Do you think the Cowboys need to make a move at running back? Will they pull the trigger on a trade before the deadline? Type 1 in the comments if you think a trade is coming, and 0 if you think the Cowboys will stay put. Now, for those wondering if Dallas can even afford to make a trade like this, let's clear that up. The Cowboys do have the cap space to make a move. The front office has been saying, we don't have the money, but that's not entirely accurate. They have the room, and Etienne's contract is very manageable. The real question is whether or not they have the will to make a move. I'll tell you what, Cowboys fans, I think adding Etienne could be a game changer for this offense. He's a perfect fit for what Mike McCarthy wants to do, run between the tackles while still having the speed to hit the outside zone. With his 4.45 speed, Etienne could give the Cowboys a versatile back who can thrive in multiple schemes. So, Cowboys Nation, as we wrap this up, let's revisit the key question: should the Cowboys trade for Travis Etienne? Let us know your thoughts in the comments, vote in the poll, and don't forget to share what you think the Cowboys should give up to get him.
Let's start with the big rumor that's been making the rounds on social media, the idea of the Cowboys trading for Jacksonville Jaguars running back Travis Etienne. This rumor picked up steam after ESPN's Jeremy Fowler and Cowboys Wire mentioned Etienne as a possible trade target. Could he be the missing piece in the Cowboys' backfield? Etienne has been a 1,000-yard rusher in each of his last 2 seasons, and even though Jacksonville might not be ready to part ways with him, it's an intriguing possibility. But, what would it cost? Some are saying a second-round pick, but I don't know if Etienne warrants that price, given the way running backs have been devalued in recent years. What do you guys think? Drop a comment below. Would you give up a second-rounder for Etienne? Next up, we have some important injury updates. Trayvon Diggs left practice with an ankle injury, but the good news is, he was spotted walking around with no noticeable limp. While that's a positive sign, it's definitely something we'll need to keep an eye on. Losing Diggs would be a huge blow to this defense. And speaking of big losses, Micah Parsons is officially ruled out for the upcoming game against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Parsons has been battling an ankle injury, and unfortunately, it looks like he'll be sitting this one out. But that's not all. Brandon Cooks is also dealing with a knee infection. The Cowboys are calling it a week-to-week situation, so we'll have to see how long he's sidelined. If you had to choose one, who do you think is the bigger loss, Parsons or Cooks? Let me know in the poll below. We've got more injury updates to cover. Kyon Carson is still limited in practice, and while head coach Mike McCarthy says he's progressing, we won't know his status until later in the week. Meanwhile, Donovan Wilson has been stepping up, but the question is, should Marquise Bell start in his place? What do you think, yes or no? Vote in the comments. On the Steelers' side, they're dealing with injuries too. Their top pass rusher Alex Highsmith is likely out, which could make things a bit easier for the Cowboys' offense. But keep an eye on guys like Nick Herbig and Larry Ogunjobi, both are key players who may or may not be available this week. As you can see, there's a lot going on with the Cowboys right now, from trade speculation to injuries that could change the course of the season. Make sure to stay tuned to Cowboys News TV for all the latest updates. And before you go, let me know in the comments, do you think the Cowboys should pull the trigger on a trade for Travis Etienne? And which injury worries you the most, Trayvon Diggs, Micah Parsons, or Brandon Cooks? Hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you in the next video.